All right, let's dive right into this explainer and uncover some of the more dangerous truths of human psychology. But real quick, consider this a bit of a warning, because this knowledge isn't exactly for the faint of heart. If you're hoping for a totally rosy view of the world today, well, you might be in for a shock. We're going to expose the hidden mechanics of how people use words, subtle gestures, and outright cunning to manipulate others. Our main focus here is spotting those practical indicators that someone is trying to control you. So let's get into it, and please, use this knowledge responsibly.
Ever get that creepy feeling someone is secretly watching you? Maybe across the room in a meeting? Or while you're out to dinner? Well, if you want to know for sure, try this extremely simple trick. Just yawn. Seriously, fake a massive, deep yawn, and then immediately look over at them. If they yawn right back at you, they were absolutely watching you. Why does this work? Because yawning is intensely contagious to the human brain. It's just a brilliant, completely silent way to test someone's focus without saying a single word.
Okay, here's our roadmap for the explainer. 1. Unlocking dark psychology. 2. Subtle everyday mind tricks. 3. Red flags of control. 4. Weapons of emotional abuse. And 5. The emotion cocktail trap.
Starting with Section 1, Unlocking Dark Psychology, the Hidden Truths of the Human Mind.
Moving right along to Section 2, Subtle Everyday Mind Tricks, Quirks of Human Behavior.
Let's look at how tiny, almost unnoticeable physical choices can completely alter a social dynamic. Picture this. You're in a tense meeting, and someone is glaring at you, clearly gearing up to get aggressive. Your instinct is probably to back away, right? Actually, do the opposite. Calmly get up and sit directly next to them. It creates this intense, unspoken psychological pressure. For them to actually yell at you, they have to physically turn their entire body, which feels incredibly awkward and suddenly makes the confrontation way too intimate. It literally diffuses their anger on the spot. Oh, and another quick tip. Always rub your hands together to warm them up before a handshake. Cold hands unconsciously signal weakness to the brain, but warm hands, they instantly build trust. Finally, if you ever want to read the real dynamics of a room, just make a joke. When a group laughs together, watch people's eyes. We all instinctively look directly at the person we feel the strongest connection to.
Want people to just blindly accept your advice? Attribute it to an elder. Seriously, human beings are practically hardwired to trust elderly wisdom without questioning it. If you start a sentence with, "My grandfather always told me," suddenly whatever you say next carries massive weight. It's like a psychological cheat code. Along those same lines, we have the Benjamin Franklin effect. Got someone at work who just kind of hates you? Ask them for a really tiny favor, like, "Hey, can I borrow that pen?" It's too small of a request for them to say no to without looking like a jerk, but once they hand it over, their brain experiences a glitch called cognitive dissonance, and it literally rewires itself to start liking you to justify why they just helped you out.
Have you ever realized that you really only remember the very beginning and the absolute end of a job interview? That is the serial position effect in action. Our brains just sort of blur the middle out. So if you want to stand out, you have to make sure your first and last impressions are absolutely spectacular. And what if you want to make a memory completely unforgettable? You add adrenaline to the mix. Take a first date on a roller coaster, or go see a terrifying horror movie. When that adrenaline spikes, their brain permanently links that racing heart and intense excitement directly to you.
Now, this next one is kind of hilarious, but I promise you it works. It's known as the snack man effect. If you ever see a heated argument escalating and you want to stop it, just stand right in the middle of the people fighting and start eating something. Like, literally just take a bite of a slice of pizza. Eating is so deeply wired into our primitive brains as a calming, non-threatening activity that it magically interrupts the aggression. It's like hitting a giant pause button on their anger and completely diffuses the tension in the room.
All right, Section 3, Red Flags of Control, the pivot to dark manipulation.
So while those everyday quirks are interesting, we need to pivot to the practical indicators of real manipulation. And we're starting with one of the most destructive weapons out there, gaslighting. This is when a manipulator systematically breaks down your trust in your own mind. They might secretly move your things around or say something incredibly cruel, but when you confront them, they look you dead in the eye and say, "I never said that. You're imagining things again." Over time, you literally start to doubt your own memory. You feel like you're losing your grip on reality. It is a highly calculated move to make you entirely dependent on their version of the truth. Then we have the trap of love bombing. Pay very close attention if a new partner starts showering you with extreme, over-the-top affection, huge gifts, and constant texting right out of the gate. It feels amazing, but it's often a setup. They're making you completely dependent on their validation. Because as soon as you're hooked, the floor drops out, they withdraw completely, they just disappear or go cold, which throws you into an absolute panic. You end up desperately craving their return, and boom, they now have total control over your emotional state.
Another major flashing red flag is triangulation, sometimes called the third-person game. A manipulator will intentionally drag a third person into your relationship dynamic. They'll give that person excessive attention, compliment them constantly right in front of your face. Why? They are literally farming your jealousy and insecurity. While you are busy feeling anxious and inadequate, they get to sit back and enjoy a massive ego trip. It's all about keeping you off balance.
And all of this need for control inevitably builds into the weaponization of silence. In a healthy dynamic, communication is how you resolve problems. But dark psychology flips that. Manipulators use silence as a punishment. By flat out refusing to speak to you, they force your anxious brain to fill in the blanks. It completely confuses you, it triggers your anger, and it pushes you into this deep state of self-doubt where you end up begging for their attention, and they manage to do all of that without uttering a single syllable.
Section 4. Weapons of emotional abuse. Breaking down self-esteem. If you want a clear indicator of manipulation, watch out for reframing. This is a classic move where someone disguises their toxic, suffocating behavior as an act of profound romance. They'll snoop through your phone or try to isolate you from your best friends, and when you get mad, they'll say, "I only get this jealous because I love you so much." Do not buy it. It's just a clever psychological reframe to justify treating you like property.
Let's really unpack the manipulator's toolkit here because you need to know these signs. Have you ever been dragged into an argument and suddenly found yourself apologizing for mistakes you didn't even make? That is manufactured guilt. Or maybe they use high-pressure sales tactics on your personal life, creating artificial fear by saying things like, "If you don't do this for me right now, I'm packing my bags." And of course, there's the victim card. They will cry and complain about how everyone is against them just to exploit your natural sympathy right before they hit you with a covert threat. These aren't just bad habits. They are massive indicators that someone is trying to completely strip away your independence.
Which brings us to Section 5, the emotion cocktail trap, the final stage of control.
Here's the thing. Master manipulators rarely just rely on one trick. They blend them together into a dizzying, toxic cycle. Step 1, they bombard you with love so your guard completely drops. Step 2, they suddenly threaten you with fear or silence, pulling the rug right out from under your feet. Step 3, they trap you with false guilt, convincing you that their terrible behavior is somehow actually your fault. They keep mixing love, fear, jealousy, and guilt until your brain is so exhausted and overwhelmed, you literally cannot see the cage being built around you.
So, how do we armor up? The only way to survive these kinds of dark tactics is to spot them a mile away. If you want to build up your psychological defenses, you really should check out these 3 foundational books: The 48 Laws of Power, The Art of Seduction, and The Laws of Human Nature. Digesting these will give you the blueprint of human behavior and power dynamics so you never fall for these tricks again.
And that wraps up our explainer for today. But before you go, I want to leave you with one final, provocative question to ask yourself as you look at your own relationships. Who in your life might be secretly mixing this emotional cocktail for you right now? Keep your eyes wide open, trust your gut, and remember, never let anyone else control your mind.